Hello everyone. This is the project closeout video for the project Plutus bench, or how it's now called Mockfrost. Plutus bench started out as a framework to make it simpler to simulate smart contract evaluation. So we noticed the issue in the environment that when you wrote a smart contract, more or less the only way to test it was to actually deploy it into some testnet. Of course, you could write some unit tests, maybe if your smart contract language allowed for that. But basically, there was no proper unified framework for just handling your smart contract as if you would submit it to this to the blockchain. So we set out to build basically this Plutus bench Mockfrost tool which behaves to you as if it was a testnet. So you can just submit your smart contract and you have like transactions on there, but you don't actually have to go through the trouble of setting up everything on a testnet, like setting up a test user wallet, setting up with funds, waiting for pools to pick up your transaction and process it and so on. So this is what we got. Mockfrost, the reason it's called Mockfrost is we did a developer survey during the project as part of Catalyst, and we found out that most people actually use some tool that eventually uses Blockfrost or a very similar tool to submit their transactions. So we initially planned to make the tool look like Ogmios, which is another smart contract or transaction submission tool. But we figured that Blockfrost is actually more generic. So we built a website basically. We built this tool which more or less resembles a Blockfrost. So there's the website of this project, which basically gives you some more information on how it all works, how you can set it up in Python. And we have the API, which I've opened here. And there you might notice that it looks a lot like the Blockfrost API. But the idea is really that it also behaves like the Blockfrost API. You can just set up a session, which is kind of your own small testnet. Very simple. You add the transaction outputs that you want to handle. You add an entire UTXO. You set the slot, like you can change the time currently. Maybe you have some smart contract that only triggers in 10 years, then it's much easier to have it here to be able to set the slot, and you can actually check if it will do something in 10 years. You don't have to wait on testnet for the real time and so on. Or you can you have all the endpoints that the Blockfrost endpoint would give you. And in Python, this all would look something like this. You then write your own little test function. We add some helpers to, for example, load some contracts if you have a path with a contract inside. Also some helpers to get payment addresses from a smart contract. These are all issues we found repeatedly to occur if you actually want to handle a smart contract. And then, you can go and you get a fake chain context. So this is a function. If you would supply it with a Blockfrost chain context or an Ogmios chain context, the tools that in PyCardano are always present, you could also submit something to an actual blockchain. But here it interacts with it and submits a transaction just through the Mockfrost fake interaction. And you could now execute this and submit your transaction just as you would in your normal tool PyCardano, and we simulate the transaction and submit it. This project started almost 2.5 years ago, and I'm now very happy to see that it comes to completion. At the end, I would just want to express my gratitude towards Project Catalyst for enabling this project and really making this whole project come to life. much more usable now in its current form. Thank you.